So I thought I would start off by just asking you how you and other CIOs are dealing in this time of COVID.
Hmm.
Is working remotely impacting you and your team's ability to, collaborate, share information with each other?
Yeah, I think COVID-19 has like really just disrupted the world as we knew it. And I think the major shift for us was to, actually start working from home. We've been at home since March 17th. I just started counting the months. I'm like, I've been at home for 4 months. And it was for the safety of the team, for the safety of the staff, our members, our trustees. But it's really been a seamless transition for myself and for my team from the perspective of fund business. I think it's been really amazing how quickly we transitioned over. And the fact that we have so much work to do, we really haven't had a time to just stop and think about kind of what's going on around us. I really like to multitask and I like to feel like I've had a productive day. But like now during this time, I've really kind of redefined what a productive day looks like. And right now, it seems to be more of me listening to what my team's concerns are and trying to give sound advice and be supportive and even be comforting during this time. There's different types of people on the team, and some live alone, and sometimes they may call and just be like, well, did you call me? Did you email me? And I'm like, no. Well, since I have you on the phone, and then we'll just start talking about what's kind of going on in their lives, what's worrying them. And I feel like if I can take away some of the worry from COVID-19, that it helps them to really concentrate on their jobs. And I think that's becoming more a part of my job to kind of pave the way for, the team to actually be more productive and to take care of our members. I think from that aspect, we've been okay, but it has been a little challenging just as far as trying to maintain the culture of shared knowledge and camaraderie because we were in an open setting. And it was like, hey, what are you doing with this manager? Or have you seen this manager? And they talk constantly. So I think that has been one of the things that we've missed of the team building aspect of it. But as far as investments goes, we've continued with our pacing plans. We've continued to hire managers. We've continued to do due diligence. We've reallocated to existing managers and we've hired some new managers. And, I know a lot of people are talking about how you can do due diligence during this time. But some of these managers we've known for years, and it takes a long time for us to be comfortable with a manager and really get through all of the due diligence to the point where we're at a point where we feel we can hire you. So we're on that journey with a lot of managers that we started out with and are just now coming to us to actually be hired. So I think we have a nice pipeline that hopefully will get us through this period. And we continue to hire minority managers, which is a big goal for Chicago teachers. We hire managers that are experienced with deal sourcing and discipline with exits. So I think we're just trugging along and getting work done as far as private equity, real estate, infrastructure, monitoring our existing managers, reaching out to new managers. So I think that's pretty much what we've been doing, just the same old.
Are you seeing opportunities during this time? And by that, I mean, are they market-focused opportunities or organization or process, things that you can work on during this time?
I feel like this time wasn't really a surprise for us. We're long-term strategic investors, and we try to be forward-looking and forward-thinking. And I think we started maybe a couple of years back because we didn't know it was going to be a pandemic, but we felt like some correction of some sort was coming. And we started maybe 2 to 3 years ago trying to shift the portfolio to a more active stance. We increased our allocation to private equity from 3% to 5%. We transitioned our fixed income portfolio from 50% active to 80% active. And I think we looked at real estate a little differently and increased our core exposure, and started looking for more income generating assets. CTPF actually needs more liquidity because we're underfunded. These were some of the things that we were trying to put into place and trying to look at the portfolio and fill gaps. When March rolled around, we were in a defensive stance, and I think that worked for us. Now we're looking at the market as it is today, and we're looking for more opportunities. We hired a venture capital fund of funds, and we've hired direct funds and private equity that are focused on special situations and deep value, which I think there are a lot of opportunities out there right now. I think private equity is going to be able to take advantage of some of those opportunities. We looked at funds that focused on healthcare and nutrition, which in this health crisis, we think will do well. Funds that focused on technology and telecommunications and digital and data. And we're using all of that right now just to have this conversation. So I think that'll do well as well. And then we're slightly over allocated in industrials, which has done really well for us and continues to do well because of e-commerce. So I think we're just focusing on those sectors, those strategies that we feel are more COVID immune. So that's kind of how we're thinking about this year and next year.
Obviously, this time has not just been about the pandemic, there's also been a lot of unrest in the country. What are your thoughts on the importance of diversity during this time? You've been a very strong champion of diversity at CTPF.
I wasn't shocked to see the unrest. And maybe that's me speaking from the point of view of being a minority and knowing that some things were wrong, and looking at the investment industry and knowing that there can be more inclusion and more diversity there. I don't think that the protest or the unrest really changed anything that I thought, but if anything, it validated and reinforced for me that you really can't have a successful business in an increasingly diverse world without diversity and inclusion being a part of that business. If we just back up a little bit, Chicago Teachers has about 46% of their assets with minorities and women-owned managers, and that's about $4.8 billion. We're intentional, and we think we're proven because diversity can drive returns. I just think it's a great time to invest with diverse managers, especially with this current market environment, where diverse smaller managers can really, defend against some of the volatility and the market dislocations, or even help by investing in unique opportunities that only a small, diverse manager can do. And it's very important that we all pay attention to what's going on, and hopefully it will continue to go on until we can make things better.
Can we double click on diversity for a second? Why is it so important to you to hire diverse owned managers? Is it because you feel that they'll align better with the mission of CTPF?
Specifically in our portfolio, diverse managers really add diversification for us. They complement our large majority-owned managers that operate in a larger market and write larger check sizes. And we like to pair them up with diverse managers, smaller managers that operate in the middle or the lower middle market and invest in smaller assets. We believe that the smaller size of the diverse managers creates more flexibility and nimbleness, and it gives us exposure to all parts of the market. It gives us exposure to unique ideas, and they operate where a large manager can't because we're 10 billion and we're underfunded. And we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, or we don't, we're not market timers, we don't have a crystal ball. So we like to stay exposed to all asset classes and all markets and in all sectors. And I think diverse managers helps us really to do that. I think they operate in spaces that are a little less crowded, a little less competitive. And that's kind of how they bring diversification to the portfolio. It's important to us. There's room for all types of managers, diverse managers, as well as majority-owned managers. But each manager has a role to play. They serve that role really well.
You once chose to pass on some major names because you felt that their diversity initiatives needed work. Did you ever receive any type of criticism or flack for being so strong in your support of diversity efforts?
Not so much criticism, but more questions, because there were some managers that we have hired that lack diversity. But every instance is very different. Like, there's no set stance on whether we want to see diversity. But when I felt like I could really have leverage to make sustainable changes, was it more important for me to say no, or was it more important for me to say, yes, here is the capital and here is what I want you to do for that capital? We're working with managers and still having a voice and being able to sit at that table and say, you're managing my money, and this is what I want you to look at. I want you to increase the number of women that work there. I want you to increase the number of minorities that work there, and I want them to be in decision-making roles. And certain managers, we have that leverage. Certain managers, like a Blackstone, we don't have that leverage and are really small. But when we are the largest allocator in the bunch, we can kind of use that to really make some changes that are going to stick. Once diversity is a part of your organization and you see how it benefits you, we've done our jobs. We've introduced you to something that helps your bottom line and then helps ours. So we try to tackle it in different ways. Sometimes we will say no. Sometimes we will say yes if we feel that manager will make the effort that we want them to make.
You once expressed interest in moving into politics after your investment career is over in a behind-the-scenes capacity. Is that still interesting to you, and if so, why?
Well, I think that was probably before a lot of the things that are going on now. I don't know if I would say politics, but I think it's what politics represents for me. After CTPF, I want a role that really has a purpose and a mission like CTPF. I want to help others, either directly or indirectly, but definitely not out front making campaign speeches, but maybe in the background. I want to leave a legacy. I've been watching the celebration of John Lewis's life. I feel like if just a few people feel about me the way millions of people feel about him, then I feel like, I've made a difference in some way or some capacity. And I think that's really all I want to do, is make that difference and maybe change my world. And I think, if everybody's doing that simultaneously, the world just changes. I think that's where I was coming from. I don't think politics is a place or arena for, my quiet soul. So it's a lot going on. But I think, after CTPF, I will be led to another purposeful role. That's kind of what I'm thinking about for the future.
I once read, continuing down this vein of a career in politics or a behind the scenes role, I once read you saying that you felt like you wanted to protect the fiduciary duties that were constantly being chipped away at. Mm-hmm. Would you be able to elaborate on that?
We do a lot of work with ILPA. I'm not sure if the Institutional Limited Partner Association.
Yep.
And, they work to protect LPs or limited partners by really educating us on what are protective and favorable terms when investing in alternatives. And because that's a less transparent space, I think investors need a little more help to really understand what the risks are. In the past, I've traveled to Washington with ILPA to really kind of sit down with representatives, and I've met with local legislators just, on proposals to maybe change Senate bills or House bills that we felt that were kind of diluting institutional investors' protections. And if those protections are not there, then a public pension plan like CTPF can't invest in some of these alternatives that, have really outperformed and really led to positive returns. So I felt like, if I could contribute to really making sure that those protections stay there, then the fund could continue to invest in those, and then it would benefit our members down the road. But there are certain things that if taken away in our pension code, then we can't invest in. So I just wanted to make sure that the people that are writing these bills, the people that are making the laws, really understand that, hey, you have thousands of beneficiaries that live in your respective districts that vote for you. And these are the things that you need to do to protect them on the back end so that you're supporting them. So just kind of connecting the dots, I felt like that was really worthwhile, and it was exciting. And maybe that's where the politics speech or the politics statement came from. Last year, June, I was able to testify on Congress with Representative Beatty's subcommittee on diversity and inclusion. So I think those little things, those little exposures to politics is really exciting to me. And I think even just having a voice really can make a difference.
It's been said by your executive director that you have completely, quote unquote, professionalized the organization at CTPF. And what did you do to accomplish that?
He said that. So
that's what I read.
Chuck has been, Chuck Burbridge is the executive director there, and he's been a really great support to me and instrumental in really, helping me to transition from a manager to more of a leader. I would say that one thing that I did was really kind of build a team with succession in mind from the start. I feel like this: the fund is 125 years old. I'm going to do a stint there. I'm going to have my term, but I need to leave behind processes and a team and a structure for the next CIO and the next CIO. And that's really all that I can do. I can't make sure that the fund is fully funded. I can't solve the world's problems, but I can improve things while I'm there. So I built a team. I have 4 portfolio managers and 4 portfolio analysts that report to them. And really the manager's jobs are really to develop and prepare those analysts so that we have like a strong bench where we can promote from within at any time. Secondly, I know my strengths, and I hired for my weaknesses until I could turn those weaknesses into strength. And I've had that time to grow and gain knowledge and gain experience and maybe even a better temperament. I hired qualified, knowledgeable, and experienced people that could and do challenge me. I think we all benefit from having that culture where we can, debate and come to a consensus. I hired a diverse team with diverse points of views and backgrounds that are different ages, genders, ethnicities, nationalities. It's sometimes funny because we often laugh because the 30-somethings on my team, they have to Google what the 50-somethings are laughing or joking about. And we're like, watch, they're going to go Google it, and sometimes they laugh with us and sometimes
vice versa.
Like, right. We didn't find that funny at all. I'm like, you have to get there. So I think those things, I established goals and expectations for each team member. And I continue to push them to have continued learning and development, and I support them along the way. So I think I'm decisive, but I hear my team, and I like to listen to them, and it's a team effort. So I don't know how professional we are because we like to joke and laugh. but genuinely, we like to be around one another, and we're respectful and we're supportive and we're collaborative. And I think we all love the work that we're doing. So that's.
How did you structure that investment team? Did you have them be generalists where everyone's looking at or covering multiple asset classes? Are they more specialists where they're looking at one asset class, or some hybrid of the two?
So I structured it with, they're more specialists. There's a portfolio manager over domestic equity, one over international, and then I split the teams. I feel like equities are more our offensive side, and there's a defensive side. And so the fixed income and the real estate and infrastructure are under one portfolio manager, and then private equity has their own portfolio manager. But at a given time, I still want to just kind of shuffle the portfolio analyst, because I feel like when I came there, it was such a small team that I had the opportunity. Really, people just gave me stuff that they didn't want to do, but it was an opportunity for me to, to learn every aspect, every asset class, and kind of move through them. And I feel like now the analysts have latched on to asset class that they love, and I'm trying to make them a little more marketable. So I'm like, okay, you got private equity, let's move on to real estate. And I was like, no, but I love private equity. So it's been a challenge to try to shift them around a little bit. And then they love their managers. So, no, you can go report to John. He's really good. It's like, you can leave this one. So, and you're still here together. So that's kind of how I want to, develop them, because I think they need to know all of it in order to be ready for this role. It's hard, but I think some of them are now seeing that more work, different work, is really a learning experience for them.
Speaking of making young people more marketable, the young people on your team, and reshuffling them, what advice would you have for someone who's just starting out in his or her investment career and who wants to aim for that CIO seat someday?
I would say, I have a lot of advice. I would say, build your network from both sides, the people that you help and the people that help you, as you move in an upward direction, to kind of make sure that you're reaching back to help someone else. I think, it's really all about being willing to help others accomplish something. I learned early on that people really value you when you can fulfill a need, when you can solve a problem for them. They keep coming back to you because, hey, she helped me with this, or she helped me with that. And, in those transactions, you start to build a network. You start to find sponsors. You start to find people like, there's an opportunity over here. Hey, I know someone and they helped me with this. So, it's all about trying to fulfill that need for people. And I think if you concentrate on that and not so much getting to this level and that level and this level, you will get there doing your job. Also, by, being in need, somebody being in need of you. I think that's one thing. I think as far as sponsorships go, you don't necessarily need to look for the CEO or the CFO for a sponsor. You just need to find somebody that really has a positive, outlook, and that's done the things that you want to do, or has accomplished the things that you want to achieve. Someone that you can learn from. I think you need to be thoughtful, but decisive. I think you need to listen. Think you need to, hold yourself and others accountable. I think you need to probably be, a critical thinker and analytical, but also be able to kind of think outside of the box. I think you need to, kind of learn to work through others, meaning you can't really do anything all yourself. So you got to figure out how to be, effective through others, through a capable team. And you got to step back and let them do their jobs. So I think you need to be able to manage multiple stakeholders, because I have over 20,000 people that, really think I report to them. So, and I kind of do. So you got to be able to kind of manage that. And I think, of course, a background in finance and economics, even law is a plus, but I've met some English majors. I've met some, theater majors, some athletes that have really encompassed great writing skills, great public speaking skills, which I'm still trying to get to, great leadership skills that I think are all components of this role. It's kind of funny, I find a lot of ex-athletes in private equity, but I don't know. I guess if you make a lot of money, that's probably where you go next to figure out how to manage your money. And I just, I would encourage anybody to kind of keep building relationships, gaining knowledge, sharing that knowledge. I would say raise your hand, and ask those smart questions, because if you don't, someone else is going to do it. Be vocal about what you really bring to the table, and, what your goals are. And don't be afraid of no, what is a no going to do? They don't really control what your goals are. And some people just don't see who you are and what you can be or the potential. So just brush those no's aside and kind of keep moving forward.
Got it. And just one last question for you, which is, what are you most proud of having accomplished during your tenure as CIO of CTPF?
I am probably most proud of, the team that I've built, the processes that I've put in place, increasing diversity there. I think when I started, we were at 38% as far as minority and women-owned managers, and now we're at 46%. I think I'm proud of it all. I look at the returns. I look at the total assets. I think we've been doing a great job. I look at the managers that we're hiring, and I'm so excited about some of these managers. It's like you give them a little bit of money and they're off doing things that you thought would take some time, but they're actually executing on the things that you thought they would do, you believe they would do, that you were convicted, but when it actually happens, then you feel a sense of okay, I've picked a good manager that will last outside of me. Many of the things that we put in place now, we might not even be here to really see them come to fruition, but to see it start off in such a positive space, I think is something that we're very proud of. I'm proud of the portfolio that we've constructed. So proud of the relationships. I'm really happy about the relationships as well. So.
Thank you, Angela, for letting me and Backstop Solutions do this Tide 10 with you. We really appreciate it. And hopefully when this is over, and hope it's sooner than later, we can get together for coffee that is not socially distant.
Yes. Yeah. And we can get together in Chicago, whether it's day or night.
That's right. That's right.
So,
thank you so much.
Thank you.